our 2-year on review of using our Model 3 Teslas in Japan. So if you're thinking about electric vehicles in Japan, if you're curious about how does Tesla compare, should I invest in an electric car? Hopefully we'll cover a bunch of those questions that you might have and give you some orientation along the way. So, cutting to the chase, Scott, would you
Yep.
recommend it? Is the Model 3 worth getting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been hands down the best car that I've ever had.
I would agree 100%. It's so fun to drive.
Hmm.
Even now at the 2nd year mark, I don't notice any difference in performance. All my life since I was 15, I've had regular gas cars. Nothing has performed to this level. I came from a really crappy low end K car in Japan to the
Hmm.
Model 3. So for me, of course, that was a huge, huge change. How about you? Did you come from like a high end vehicle and change to
No.
Model 3? No.
I bought a used Subaru Legacy Grand Wagon, and it was 8 or 9 years old when I bought it. No, it, longer, older than that. It must have been at least 10 years old when I bought it. I drove it into the ground, so it was dying anyway. And I'm like, well, this is a good opportunity. But it was a gas guzzler. It got like 5 liters or 5 kilometers per liter. And so the gas was just like 300-400 bucks a month, 3-4 mile a month.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And
And
I wasn't
and
doing trips with it. It was just that's just running around.
right. And even for me, I had probably the cheapest car you can get in Japan, the lowest gas use, and I was spending about 3,000 yen a week.
Hmm.
So what is that? 12,000, about $100 a month
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
on gas, and that's like the cheapest you could get. And then now let's compare with
yeah.
our Model 3s. We have shared I've shared my code with people who
Hmm.
have bought Model 3s, so I actually haven't paid for charging for a while,
I'm jealous.
which is so nice. But when I do pay, I've never paid more than 1,000 yen or 1,500 yen, like $10. It's really cheap.
Yeah. For the superchargers are absolutely the way to go when you're charging and there's a fee. Um, like the most that I paid has been 12, a little over like 12.50 or something like that when I went out to Iga, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But for the most part, I've used like local free chargers. And so for the most part, the go-go juice part of the bill has been negligible.
It's it's amazing. And then I used the new supercharger in Shikoku Island a
Oh,
couple
nice.
weeks ago because I did a work trip out to Tokushima, and it was the first time I've used a supercharger in Shikoku Island. So
Uh-huh.
for me, that like opens up that whole island to me because
Yeah.
I'm much more likely to go and explore if I know I have a supercharger where I can charge up to about 370 kilometers, I think, because I've got the lowest range model. But
Right,
you
right, right.
actually have a longer range, so you could
I have the
charge up
long
to.
range. Yeah. So when I went out to when I went out to Iga, that was one of the things I wanted to find out what the top of the limit was. So after 2 years, the maximum charge was about 456 kilometers. So that's been uh really great. Looks like JJ's coming back in. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
cutout
So
for a
coming
second.
into yeah. So Iga's even on the map. That's excellent.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um.
show the Tesla website, and it
Mhm.
shows where all the superchargers are right now.
Yep.
So
Yep.
let's have a look now. If anybody's thinking about getting a Tesla in Japan, one thing that really sold me was how good the website is and how
Yeah.
good the online support is. And this is the Tesla website right now in Japan, so in real time, and it's showing you the network of superchargers, so you can see all the red dots across Japan. And this is my area. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit, and they're expanding. I talked to a
Yeah.
guy in Ishikawa yesterday, and
Hmm.
there is a new one opening in Kanazawa. So I want to do a
Saw
drive up
that.
there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I didn't
you,
realize that
yeah,
one is in at the southern tip of Awaji. That's awesome.
Hokkaido could do
Yeah.
with some more, right?
Yeah.
Hokkaido just
Hokkaido,
has
I think.
one right at the bottom.
Yep, they just got their first one in Hakodate like maybe 6 months ago, something like that. It's been pretty recent, so yay for the everybody up near Hakodate at any rate.
Yeah. If you're doing trips around Japan, though, you're not limited to just the Tesla superchargers.
Right,
You
right.
can use the, what is it? It's not a
EV,
demo,
yeah, EV Go
EV Go. So
is the
let's
biggest one
show
that I've
that
used. Yeah.
website as well. Now, Scott, you know better than me. The website is pretty confusing. Can you give
Yeah.
us a little overview?
Yeah. Basically, the way it's set up, you can set it up so it only shows the type of charger that you're looking for. But what I've found using a Tesla, if you have just the trickle charge that you get at home, it takes a long time and it's really not particularly effective. It's fine if you're going shopping or something like that, but you don't want to rely on that for a road trip. So you're looking for Chatamo chargers that are uh, basically what 40 kilowatts or better is what I usually shoot for. I'll go down to 20 if I'm looking for, if I'm looking for a route and I'm looking to not pay. So the nice thing about the GoGo EV there is that you can put in selections about whether you want it to be a free charger or if it's on the Elephant Network, the Suduzo, anyway, the Elephant Network, or and whether or not there's a parking fee. So they're really convenient to search for. But if you just leave everything blank, you're going to get way too many options. So you can search just for Tesla chargers, just for um, uh, free Chatamo chargers and stuff like that. So I've still not joined the Elephant Network thing because I think they're just charging too much for it.
Me neither, because
Um,
it's like a monthly charge,
yeah, yeah.
which
Well, and you have
seems
to
really expensive.
yeah, and you have to pay to get into it before, and then you pay a monthly charge, and then you pay charging fees on top of that. So it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um, the main thing
What I
is
would recommend, I don't know if you've used this, Scott, but in Japan, at the Eon Mall
yeah,
chains,
hmm
that they often have their own system of electric car charging,
yes,
and they have a fast charger and they have slow charging, like destination charging. And
yep,
unfortunately, you're limited for how long you can charge,
yeah,
but it is something that you can get the Eon Mall card, the
yep,
WOWN card, and you can pay as you go. So once you get
yep,
the card, you just put your cash in the machine and you charge up the card, and then you use that card at the machine. I did
yep.
a funny video on location because it was almost impossible to read the screen when
It's
I was,
terrible.
even though I can read Japanese, I was struggling through, but with the glare, it
Yeah,
just was impossible to read. So
it's almost
hopefully they'll work
invisible.
that out. But in theory, the machines do work well once you
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah.
I'll try to.
Once you get it to
Uh,
go, it's fine. But
yeah,
getting it to go, I mean, my Japanese is good enough to be able to get through that type of menu system, but literally you can't see it because the LEDs aren't bright enough, and it's just it's ridiculous. And I'm fortunate that I have one Aeon mall that has a free charging setup.
oh
But I
wow,
took a trip down to Nara one time, and there's an Aeon mall down there. They'd used the WOWN card uh, for or WOAN, whatever it is, and they charge 300 yen for a half hour charge, which is fine. I mean, I'm not opposed to that, and the chargers are usually pretty good, somewhere
yeah.
between 40 and 44 kilowatts.
Yeah.
Um,
So to use these chargers, you will need an adapter.
yeah,
And Scott and I both have an adapter. And
yep,
if you buy it from the Tesla shop, I think it's about 50,000 yen.
yeah,
You can get secondhand ones as well. But you will need that if you want to use the other system. If you use the Tesla system, you won't need an adapter. Your car plugs in directly, and it's super easy. You're driving a computer basically. The Tesla is like a computer.
Yep.
And when you put into the GPS that you want to go somewhere to a supercharger, it will start preparing the battery for supercharging. When you
Yep.
arrive, it knows you're there, and you just plug in and it charges, and it tells you how long it's going to take. Usually it's no
Mhm.
longer than an hour.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it tells you exactly how much you're going to pay, and your credit card is already registered with your Tesla account. So everything is so straightforward and easy. Have you had any
Yes.
issues doing a supercharger?
With the superchargers, no, no, everything. Oh, there was one time I used a supercharger in Osaka, and it had stopped early, and you get a one-time wave. So Tesla has a thing: if you stay at the supercharger past after your car's finished charging, they will eventually start to charge you per minute for while you're taking up that space, and it's a way to keep people moving and make sure that uh, people aren't just sitting there hogging the stalls.
That has happened to me. Is
Yeah.
I went to the supercharger in Kyoto, and
Mm.
I waited for over an hour, and four jerky
Yeah.
Tesla owners had just parked their cars there, and they weren't even charging. But
Oh no.
you know that's
Yeah.
bad etiquette, but
Yeah.
I hope they got some penalties for that.
Well, only if they were plugged in. So if
They
they were
were
plugged
they
in,
were all plugged in.
oh, okay, good. Well, then, yeah. So yeah, Tesla charges, um, they they give you a warning the first time, and so if it happens again, I'm in trouble. But it's like 15 yen per minute to sit there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not insignificant. The problem is, um, except for me and you, a lot of Tesla people have actual money and they don't actually care. So I'm broke
I'm
mainly because I
broken.
have a Tesla.
Which is it's crazy, right? Because i
Yeah.
i don't have a big income right now, but
Right.
I really wanted to invest in an electric vehicle. I
Yep.
was shopping around. I did look at the Nissan quite seriously. I did ask my Honda dealer about their EV, and everything led me back to Tesla because of the value for money,
Yeah.
the longer range, the ease of charging. And I
Yep.
got, because I'm charging at home, I wanted that
Hmm.
option. I
Yeah.
had a home charger installed for an extra 20,000 yen, which
Yep.
it didn't seem possible with the other car companies. So I did
Right.
lots of research. I think I really made the right decision on many levels. Now you're not in a house, you don't charge at home.
I am in a house, and so the first year I only used the public chargers. But this year, since last December, I went to charging at home. I had to do some electrical work myself, which was a little terrifying.
Wow.
But so I rerouted a socket and put in a ground and the whole 9 yards. And so I've been charging the car at home for the last 12 months. So the first
Oh,
year
you
was all
okay.
free charging. Second year is all basically from home, except for trips.
Yeah. So did you buy the Tesla home charger, like the destination charger? No.
No, I'm using the portable charger that they come with.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
You really, I wouldn't risk that. I wouldn't trust myself to deal with electricity in that way.
Mm. Yeah. Well, when I first started university, I went in as an electrical engineering student and then failed out of that. So I probably shouldn't trust myself either. But
Well, I read horror stories about people setting up their own charging network in their garage and
hmm.
shocking themselves with
Oh
an
yes.
electric car. So I
Yeah.
thought, no, no, thank you. I think I'll leave it to electricians to install
Yeah.
mine.
I don't recommend doing it yourself. For mine, it was a minor issue, and I've played with electricity enough before to know that it will kill you, and so you have to be really careful about it.
Yeah.
But and the
I
system that I have set up is
I
super
don't
simple.
like static electricity
Yeah,
shocks.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that.
yep. but what I've found over the last nine months or so is my house electricity bill has only gone up maybe 3,000, 4,000 yen. I mean, this summer
Wow.
it's all air conditioning bills. The car is almost there's almost no bump for it. So 3,000 yen a month, no problem.
Wow. And do you have solar on your
I
roof?
don't. I
Because
don't.
we have solar on our roof, so I
Yeah.
feel like when I charge during the day from home, I'm
Hmm.
using renewable energy.
Absolutely.
So that's a nice feeling. I mean, that's one of
Yep.
the arguments that people will say, well, if you're using the regular grid, even though you have a cleaner zero emissions car, which is better
Hmm.
for people's respiratory health,
Yep.
you are still using dirty energy. That's one of
Yeah.
the arguments. And you
Yeah.
can choose where your energy comes from in Japan because there is a deregulated system now. So
Hmm.
if that is something you're concerned about, you should look into Shizen Denka or one of the other renewable energy sources that you can change your provider of energy so you could get cleaner energy if you want to.
Yeah. When I looked into it previously, but it was over a year ago that I checked. There weren't that many options in Osaka where I am in my part of Osaka, so I need to look at it again. Kansai Gas has been trying to get me to change from Kansai Electric, so there's got to be some other options. But I would love to put solar on the roof. But I had a guy come out and he's like, "Yeah, you need a new roof before you can do that." I'm like, "Well, can't do
Right?
both." So
That's what puts a lot of people off. And so I'm hoping
yeah.
that Tesla will also bring their solar roof system to Japan. It's
I
not in
hope so.
Japan yet.
Yeah.
We do have the power wall, but not the solar roof,
Oh,
right?
the Powerwall's in already. I saw that there was
Power
a
walls are
thing came out.
in. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would like to get one of those too, but I can't. They haven't sent me anything. I don't have the money for it right now,
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, me neither. For anyone interested, Powerwall is a home battery system,
Yeah.
and the prices have come down a little bit. So when I checked 2 years ago, it was about 1 million yen to get the Powerwall, but also they didn't know how much it would be to install. So
Right.
they thought it might be 1.5 million total, but now they're estimating it would be 1 million total, a
Oh,
million
that's
yen
great.
total, including installation, including all the taxes. So that's a big benefit. Now let's talk about how the Model 3 cost has also come down.
Yeah,
Um, but we're early adopters. We got in
I'm
there,
fine with it.
and I'm
Yeah.
fine with it too. But definitely, if you're looking into a Model 3 now, the price has really come down and the quality has gone up.
Yes. Yep.
So,
Yep.
2021 standard range is 448 kilometers. Mine is just under 400 kilometers. So, the range has extended.
Hmm.
It's 4.4 million. Ours, when we bought 2 years ago, was over 5 million.
Yeah.
But they say with all the rebates, it's 3.5 million now if you got a new Model 3.
Wow. That's
So
great.
that's awesome, right? The
That
price
is.
has
Yeah.
really come down.
Yep. I think those are the ones that have the lithium iron phosphate batteries. And so it's a slightly different charging cycle. So when we bought ours, we were told you shouldn't generally charge to 100% on a regular basis, but with the lithium iron phosphate batteries, they do tell you to charge every night, charge it up to 100%. Every night, charge it up to
Oh,
100%. So because the battery chemistry is different, it's a slightly different style of having your car and keeping the battery
wow.
charged.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
a different change. And as I did as well, and I think you said as well, I got my loan through Tesla. They helped me get a loan.
Hmm.
And they're advertising that again on the website. So if you go through them,
Oh,
they
good.
will help you find a loan. My insurance went up a little bit. Did your insurance go up?
Yeah, a lot because I had a crappy, nasty car before, and for the Subaru, I paid maybe 3,000 yen a month. Now I'm paying about a bill two,
A
so
bill
about four.
too.
Yeah, so each month Nissan, so about $100 a month.
Okay, I like that. I like
Yeah,
that short term, a bill
yeah, right.
too. So I'm paying a bill. now.
Yeah. All right.
And I was paying, I had the lowest car possible,
Mm,
lowest level car, and it was about 4,000 yen after many years of no accidents. Now I'm at 10,000 yen a month,
yep.
because it's a high performance, more
Yeah.
expensive car.
Yeah.
Molly is in the US. Thanks for joining, Molly. She says, we had 3 solar panels installed on our porch roof. The city gave us $3,000 and 0% loan to install them. That's
Oh, that's
awesome.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. I would love
That's
to
excellent.
see the solar subsidies and rebates come back in Japan. They're not in at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
We had a really good deal when we got ours years
Hmm.
ago, like over 12 years ago. And we had a promise from the local utility to buy our energy that we
Hmm.
sold to the grid that we weren't using at twice the rate that we bought it at. We had that promise for
Wow.
10 years.
That's
So that
amazing.
basically paid off our solar panels in 8 years. So it made it a lot more attractive as a homeowner to install the
Yeah,
panels.
definitely.
They should bring that back.
Yeah, because the feed-in tariff now is basically gone, right?
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that's too
give
bad.
they give us 1/4 of what we pay for electricity
Yeah, yeah,
for what we
yeah.
sell to them, even though
Do
they're
you know
selling that same energy to our neighbors at the same price.
exactly? Do you know if you have a time of use billing, or are you flat billing like 24 hours
For the
for
electricity,
for your electricity? Yeah.
we when we were using the local utility, we were on a discounted rate for nighttime
Okay.
because we have a home water heater which only heats up at nighttime to save
Gotcha.
energy.
Gotcha. Yep. Yep.
But now we're using Shizendenka, which is a renewable energy, and
Mm,
they don't have that kind of
they
system.
don't have it. Yeah,
But it's
mine's
actually
flat.
cheaper. It's
Hmm.
cheaper for the renewable energy from
Oh, no kidding.
Shizendenka usually than our local utility was. So
I
that's
will
nice.
definitely have to check that out then, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, check it out. Yeah, so you have some talking about charging. You have some
Yep.
graphics you want to share?
Yeah. So last week or so, I went out to the IGA, the new supercharger out in IGA. So I went and ran all the way over there. It's not that far, maybe 70 or 80 kilometers from here. And they have these beautiful 4 stalls of superchargers. Then they have another four, I think it was, set of destination chargers. So they're slower, but they're still Tesla based. I think the hotel is charging for those though. It was unclear, and that was one of the nice things about the EV GoGo site is it will give you a description of what's at the site and what's going on. Um, and if you read through it, even if you just use a translator to read through it, it still works. It still works great.
Oh, good.
But yeah, so this is at a hotel. There's a tennis court facility behind it, so that there's bathrooms, there's vending machines, a place to get out and wash your hands, place to walk around, which is really nice. So the Osaka ones, both of them, the one downtown and the one out in Toyonaka, neither of them have a bathroom that's easily accessible right there at the site, which is a
Oh
huge
no.
bummer.
Yeah.
Um, and so you have to, go find the 7-Eleven down the road or whatever to be able to, go to the bathroom, or, there's a vending machine there, but no facilities really. This one actually has everything. It was really nice. If you can see in the picture, let's see, this way. Yay, that way. There's a Model X that was charging there. One of the new Model 3s was right next to me. It was white with the blacked out chrome. It was a beautiful car. And so they were there for a while. I got there at about 50% and charged all the way up to 100%. Took about 40 minutes. And yeah, and so my maximum range after 2 years is still 456. And what the Tesla site says is 560 kilometers, and that's a dream. I don't know where they got that because my car's never been that. The first year was maybe close to 480. So I haven't really lost much as far as range goes or anything else. I've been a pretty good boy about only charging to 80% at home, and so I basically leave it at that the whole time.
Yeah. Have you had any time where you're like running on, you don't say fumes because there is no fossil
Right.
fuel, but running on what is it, pixels or something?
Yeah,
Like
right.
you just have I the lowest I got was 10 kilometers. So
Wow.
like less than like 1% of the battery. Man, I was panicking.
That would be
But
terrifying.
oh my gosh, but I was luckily going downhill. So just like a
Mm-mm.
lot of hybrids, as you're coasting, there is some residual charge recharging that
Yep.
is happening to your vehicle. So luckily I was able to make it to the charging spot.
Yeah, no, I've not taken it
I don't want
below
to do that.
20%.
I
Yeah,
don't want to
that's
do that
terrifying.
again. That's too
Well,
scary.
the one thing to remember though is there is a lower buffer. So once it hits zero, you'll still have about 25 kilometers, but you got to make sure it's within 25 kilometers. So it's good to know that it's there, but don't rely on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
um,
somebody mentioned that they had heard that if you are in an emergency, you can call up the Tesla dealer and they can just give you access to more charging within your vehicle. Is that just
yeah.
is that just a
Um,
rumor or is that true?
Well, it's kind of true. So there's when you get the battery, there's a little bit of a buffer at the top and a little bit of buffer at the bottom that they don't tell you about. So that when you're charged up to 100%, it doesn't include those two extra spaces. And what they generally use that for is battery degradation mitigation. So as if your battery starts to get worse, they eat into that buffer a little bit.
Okay.
So that's that idea. And what they would do if you called Tesla is they would tell your car, all right, ignore the buffer for this, for the next 24 hours until they can get to a charger. And so that'll help. But wouldn't don't I wouldn't recommend doing it
No,
too
no.
much because yeah, you don't want to
I'd like to try it once though to see if it works. Paul, thanks for joining. Paul says, "Can
Mm,
you put a battery in the trunk?" So I would love to see this happen in the future. I know it's not really possible right now,
mm.
but I don't see why not. I don't see why we can't have a little portable battery, which could give us like an extra 20Ks or something, right?
Yeah, there are some what they're calling them portable generators. Milwaukee makes one. And Bluetti, I think, is another one. And basically, these are 3.6 kilowatt hour batteries that function the same way a generator would function. So you could, in theory, do that. But the problem is, and this is one of the things that I learned from adjusting that electrics in my basement, in the garage, is it has to be grounded. So you need that copper pole to go in for ground. So I don't know if you could charge right now from a portable battery. I did see a video in California where a guy provides an emergency service thing where he can bring a portable battery, but he's got a special portable battery. Basically, he took a bunch of leaf batteries and put them together so that it forms a battery pack that he can charge. I think he's using Chatamo to be able to get everybody on
Wow,
as portable
interesting.
service. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Japan Auto
Mm,
Federation, if you join, they do support electric vehicles right now. If you go to if you're a JAF member, you can go to one of their JAF offices and use their fast charger if you have an adapter
yep.
for free as a member, which is nice.
Yeah.
Also, if you get stuck out somewhere without a charge, they will tow you to the nearest charging place. So if you're a bit anxious about driving and
Yeah.
running out of charge, that should be something you invest in. It's only like 4 or 5 thousand a year,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
it gives you that extra peace of mind, right?
Yep. And if you're coming from overseas, right, when you change your driver's license into a Japanese driver's license, you need to talk to them anyway. You might as well sign up for the membership
Yeah.
because they have to validate the translation for the license.
Ah, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you would go to the driving center for that.
No, no, that's what you have to take to the driving center. It's weird. It's like getting an international driver's license. So I don't have a U.S. license anymore. If I want to drive in the U.S. now, I have to go to the JAF site, have them issue the international license, and then I can drive in the States.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've seen international driving licenses booth in my driving center in
Mm,
Hiroshima.
mm,
And same, I only have a Japanese license now. So
hmm hmm
I need an international license. But most places I go, like Hawaii, they allow you to use your Japanese license for a year
Oh, no kidding.
if you did move there. And I know California is very similar.
Mm.
Before we move on from charging, I visited the Naruto charging place, and
Oh,
that's
right.
also really good, fast charging
Awesome.
for Tesla, and it's right next to a beautiful beach. Really
That's great.
swanky hotel right next to it, so you can use their really nice facilities. If you
Hmm.
need the restroom, you can buy drinks in their cafe. They have like outdoor shaded seating as well, so it's a really nice area. I've also used the Okayama Kurashiki one a few times,
Hmm.
and they're right next to a secondhand shop called Second Street, so you can
Hmm.
do some
Nice.
shopping if you need clothes or something,
Little
and
recycle
really
shopping.
cheap. And Edion is right next to them, so they've got facilities you can use as well.
That's good.
Um, but I usually go early morning or late at night, so
Hmm.
sometimes the facilities aren't open. So this is kind of a an issue, like you said, if there's no
Yep.
facilities. But you're in walking distance for convenience stores or coffee shops, so it's not too bad.
Yep. And if you're out on the highway, almost every service area that I've stopped at has an electric has a charger. You need the CHAdeMO adapter, and most of them run on the elephant logo system. But I from what I haven't dug into it enough, but I'm pretty sure you can pay for a single charge
Oh, you
off of
can?
those. I think so. I think it depends on which one it is, but for some of them
Yeah.
I've shown there are directions for how to do it, but I'm like, I'm gonna get sleepy looking at that. I don't need it. So
Yeah, yeah. I wish it was more straightforward. Like
yeah.
with Eon Mall, it's so easy to buy the card,
Yep.
charge the card. Well, it's difficult to read the instructions to use the card, but it's easy enough once you know how the system works, right? But
Yep.
with the rest stops, I just can't figure out. Like I think I need a card already and I don't know where to get
Yeah.
it. I don't
Yep.
know how to get the membership, so it's all very confusing, right?
Yeah. And they, in particular, on the highway, that should be absolutely dead easy. You just pull up and tap a credit card and then
Or why not
charge.
just
That's how it
having,
should go.
a Senyen feeder where you just put your money in and charge away and
Absolutely.
make it really easy? That would be the best. But they want to
Yep.
keep their membership system, I imagine, right?
Yep. Yep. They don't want to be the one in charge that gave that up.
Yeah. Have you ever
That's a big
asked
deal.
at a rest stop or at a hotel that has a charger and you're asking a question about the charger? I've asked a few times and the staff are always like, "Oh, watashi to kanki nai," like they're really nervous. And it has nothing to do with me. They always say. So
Nope, I haven't had that one yet. I'm sure
it
it's
is,
there.
yeah, it is new technology. So I think a lot of
Mhm.
these places are a bit unsure and uneasy about how it works, which is a
Yep.
shame.
Yep.
All right. Before we move on, I showed the Tesla website. One other thing which is really cool to look at on the Tesla website, if you're thinking about buying a car in Japan or anywhere, is the resale. Did
Mhm.
you look at
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
So if you're thinking, this is something that I definitely wanted to look at, because if you're investing in an expensive electric vehicle, you want to know if there's a decent resale value.
Yeah.
And there is. Tesla
Yeah.
cars resell at really good prices. So I was surprised. The Model 3, there's a higher price tag than if you buy a new one for the lowest range. This is a high long range one, almost 7 million, but this
Yeah.
is the top range, and I think it was just used at a dealer maybe.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah,
But
so
this gives
with
me hope that if I
mm,
do have to sell mine and move somewhere, that I would be able to get a really decent price for it, right?
Yeah, you'll be able to get most of. I mean, it's still a used car, so you're still taking a little bit of a hit, but not like a regular ICE vehicle. And it's funny if you look through the stuff that's available on the Tesla site. When you look at the Model 3s, you'll see some that are like, wow, why is that so expensive? And then others like, wow, that's really reasonable. Well, the ones that are really expensive are the same ones that you and I got with the old battery system, and the ones with the lithium iron phosphates. Those are the cheaper ones, and so ours have a
Oh,
higher resale value. I'm curious to
okay.
see what's going to happen with the radar because they've started to pull radar out of the new cars, and our cars both have the radar system in it. So I'm curious to see how that's going to affect the resale value and stuff.
What do you mean radar? I didn't even know.
So yeah. So your car in the front, so to judge the distances, it's using a radar system. And Tesla last year, early this year, removed the radar system from the new cars, partially because of the chip shortages. They couldn't get enough chips for it, so they're just using cameras for full self-driving and autopilot and stuff like that now. Whereas ours use the cameras in the front and then also the radar system mounted in the nose to be
Wow.
able to judge distances.
Well, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
upgraded technology, just
Yeah.
different kind of car, really.
Yep.
Paul says, I live near the plant here in California. I'm surrounded with Teslas in traffic. I'm waiting for my car to die to join your club. Last week or so, this car made the news here. One burned out home garage. Any issues with the batteries? So I did, Tesla has a yearly report, and I was just looking at that, and their amount of cars that are set on fire is much less than standard fossil fuel cars.
Yeah. It's
If you're interested in all this data, it is available on tesla.com and
yeah.
other third-party websites as well. So
The
they are a
impact
lot
report
safer.
is worth yeah, the impact report is definitely worth reading. The problem with Teslas is if one of them catches fire, they get all of the news. They're definitely the front of the news cycle because the brand is so um well media, I don't want to say media savvy, but anyway, they're in the front of the media. They're people talk about them a lot, and so when something goes wrong, everybody wants to know about it. And but like if you look at what's happening with the Chevy Bolts, you don't want to get a Chevy Bolt right now because it's not a good thing. And actually, those are all under recall. They're recalling all of the Chevy Bolts for, in particular, since 2017 to 2019, but all of them as well to have the batteries checked.
Yeah. So I'm
So
just scrolling through right now the PDF of the Tesla impact report for 2020. It shows how even using the grid, you're still contributing in terms of the whole cycle of from manufacturing to end of life garbage, and in use as well. The whole life cycle is much less of a carbon impact than a standard gas vehicle. So there's all this data available there. It is all on third party websites as well. If you want to confirm, it's always good to get it from different sources.
yep,
um, but yeah, there's loads of great information, and good resale value was a big selling point for me. Low cost, like low running costs, I
yeah,
basically don't pay anything. When I had a standard car, I had to get oil changes, the engine checked.
yeah,
Basically, once every few months, we get updates to our car via
yeah.
the internet, right?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed because they've slowed down a little bit. Because when we first got it, it was every month there'd be something new coming out, something new coming out. But so lately there haven't been that many. But we did get a complete uh, iOS app overhaul like yesterday, and so yeah, it's so this is what the new app looks like. It's got the picture of your car, and the car is the color of your car. So I have a blue car, so I have a blue thing. If you have a white car, your car in the app will be white, and the wheels will change if you change your wheels and tell the car you've changed the wheels, the whole 9 yards. So it's pretty cool. And then for the charging one, let's pull this one down. I don't know how to get that one.
Okay, I'll get it. There you go.
So the charging one, so you can see the green on the charging line on the plug that goes into the back of the car. This one is mine was not charging when I took the screenshot, but when it's charging, there's the green energy. You'll see the energy going into the car the whole time. It's really it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I was doing a lesson the other day about how standard cars are also changing to keyless cars,
Mm-hmm.
using apps or using a card or a finger instead of a standard key. And of
Yeah.
course, this is what we use. We use a
Yep.
card, or you have an app on your phone and you can unlock the car. You can start your AC or your heater before you get there.
Yes.
You can check on your car via your app, even if you're at a remote location. So there is no key. And for me, that was a big adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I turn the car off was a
Right.
big adjustment for me. I had
Yep.
no idea how to power down. Like, do I shut it down like a computer? Like, I was
Yep.
really confused, you know?
Yep. Nope. Just
Um,
walk away, and
yeah.
everything just stays.
You just got to trust the car. Like when you go
Yep.
up to a charging place, you just trust the car is going to know what's going on, because it is like driving a computer, right? You
Yeah.
just get used to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the picture for the controls. So before it was the controls just had buttons on it, and you didn't actually touch the front or touch the back or the center to unlock it. And so that's what it's changed to. But it's cool because the car, between that main screen and this, the car actually swerves and pulls into the position so you can use the next screen. The transitions on it are really pretty. I really like it.
And on the controls, which is like a TV screen in your car, that's all
Mm-hmm.
your controls on one screen.
Yep.
You can also, when you're stopped and parked, you can play games. You can watch Netflix, you can watch YouTube on it. I can still access that. Can you as well?
Mm-hmm. I did not go for the premium subscription, so I can, but I have to tether it to my phone. So it
Okay.
works. It works fine. I just don't have the pretty maps anymore. And then when I'm charging, basically I just use my phone to tether to it. But I get like 50 gigs on my phone, so it's watching Netflix is no problem.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So that's a nice feature if you have kids, or if
Hmm.
you're waiting in the car. That's a nice thing. Plus, during summer it's so hot. My
Yeah.
family went camping last year. I could not hack the heat in the tent. It was just too hot. So
Uh-huh.
I went and slept in the Tesla, and I ran the AC on low all night, and the battery went down just a tiny fraction.
Nice.
So I was really happy to see that that is possible, and that I can still go camping with my family.
That's one of the things I want to try that is kind of on the list for this year is I'd like to go to an auto camping site where they have plugs and plug the car in and you take advantage of the camping mode and stuff like that, because there is a mode that will, like, it's like the dog mode thing, and you can use the air conditioner at night, it'll keep the car thing, and it'll still be taking the charge uh, overnight as well. So
Yeah, that's
that's
awesome.
on my
It's
list.
it's nice to have as an option, because it is
Yeah.
getting hotter and it's hard to sleep sometimes.
Yep.
Molly says we would get an all electric car, but there are so few charging stations in the US. We would think gas stations would have a couple, but they don't. This is a really good thing about having an electric vehicle in Japan.
Yeah.
There are more charging stations than gas stations right now.
Yep.
There is a real transition happening. I keep seeing gas stations go under, like they're closing,
Yep.
and turned into different kinds of shops, like farmers
Yeah.
markets and stuff, or just closing and being demolished and something else goes up. So I'm seeing a real transition in the last 2 years since we got our electric car. Don't you, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. And the number of gas stations that are going down is increasing. And what I would like to see is somebody give me a whole bunch of money so that I can start. it would be great to start it as a nonprofit, refurbish those into just come up and charge type systems. But I think
Yeah.
a nonprofit would be a great way to do it, because then you don't have to worry about, you don't have to push for the profit every month. Most of the sites are big enough to where you'd be able to have solar on it
Right?
and be
Yeah.
able to get a lot of, not tax the electrical grid all that heavily, depending on
Yeah.
how much solar you can get in it, but
Perfect.
and battery
Um,
systems.
yeah, because a lot of the old gas stations have flat roofs. They
Hmm.
also have the car washing areas. That's the only reason
Yep.
I go to a gas station now,
Yeah.
is to
Yeah.
pump up air in my tires and to wash my car. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have a chat with the gas station attendants because I don't want them to lose their jobs. So
Right.
I always say, why don't you guys have one electric car charging thing here and see if you can start getting some money from that? I would love to see a pay as you go system at these gas stations so that electric car users can also use them and support
Absolutely.
those local people to keep their jobs, right?
Yep. Yep. And well, and that's the problem with gas stations, is there are environmental issues. Like, even if you pull those old tanks out of the ground, most of those sites can't be used for just anything. Like, you can't buy an old gas station and turn it into a residence, for example. It's because of the ground contamination. And so
Right.
being able to repurpose that into a charging station and a cafe, that'd be great.
Wouldn't it? That'd be
Yeah.
great. That's a great
Yeah.
idea. Do it. Scott, I support you.
I just need an investor. I'll be
We're
happy to do it.
If any angel investors are listening, get in touch with Scott. He's ready to
Absolutely.
go.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Now let's talk a little bit about other brands because we have both
Mm,
chosen Teslas. I like I said before, I did a lot of research of other brands. This seemed like the best option for me.
mhm.
But now Toyota has said by the end of next year they're going to have 15 different electric cars.
Yeah,
So
I'll
I
believe it when
don't
I see it.
I don't know. I don't know if I can believe that. I was in touch with my old Honda dealer. I
Mm.
love Honda. It's a great company. He told me this is directly from his opinion, not from the company's official opinion, but he said they're not quite there yet in terms
Yeah.
of electric vehicles. They have them, but they're not up to the standard of Tesla or other companies from Europe and other places which are being
Yep.
imported.
Yep.
They do have a system of chargers, but apparently I can't use them. You have to be a Honda owner,
You have to buy a
but
Honda.
there's
Yeah.
so few Honda EV owners. It's kind of a waste, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The Honda E, there's a YouTuber, what's his name? Take TV, and I let him drive my car. Because he'd never been in a Tesla. I'm like, well, you gotta feel this. And then I put my foot down, and he was like, ah, he was terrified. um anyway, he a couple weeks later bought a Honda E, and he likes it a lot, and it's a great little, around the town car. But there's no, the distance on it isn't that great. It's it's cute, and but it's a gas car that they've turned into electric, and they just basically didn't design it from the ground up.
Yeah.
um
And
the
that's a big difference for me is
mm,
that you're buying a Tesla. This is a company that only does electric cars.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
do electric cars very well. They
Yep.
support electric car users very well. This was one thing that kind of turned me off when I was shopping with Nissan and
Yeah.
how it's only one of their cars and it's a very small part of their business. So I didn't feel like there would be that support from the dealership or from the company like I'm getting from Tesla, which all they do is electric, right?
Yeah, I Nissan, they made so many choices with the Leaf that I just if they would have cooled the battery, then it could have been a great car. But they went for a cheaper route. Now the Adia that's supposed to be coming out, like it was supposed to come out this summer, but hasn't yet. That looks really, really good. It looks like it's going to be a really great vehicle. A little expensive, but that's the thing. It's like they looked at what Tesla was doing and said, you know what, we're gonna shoot towards the Model X, type of interior and exterior and stuff, but we're going to go for, a high end Model 3 price tag. They could have just destroyed the market, but they're not. And the funny Toyota is interesting because in the US they're saying, all right, at this year we're going to have, by the end of this year, early next year, we're going to have all of these 15 new EVs. And then, and this is the year we're going to, really put an effort into switching to EVs. And then when they talk to the customers or the public in Japan, they say the same thing, but they add 10 years to it. So they're really not interested in it. And what Toyota-san, like the CEO guy, um, he's down on EVs. He does not like them and does not want to do them.
Well, they went
And
all in for hydrogen. Hydrogen was their big aim.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the Mirai, it is a great car. And I talked
yeah.
to Jackie Birdsall in the series. It
Hmm.
sounds fantastic, but the price tag is very high. And how do you make
Yep,
hydrogen? You have to use other fossil fuels
yep,
usually.
yep.
You can't go from solar panels to the charging the car like you can with an electric. So there
Hmm.
are issues in terms of sustainability there, in terms of the entire circular look at sustainability.
Yep.
So I would love to see Toyota get all in, but I just haven't seen it yet. It seems like
Yeah.
they're just not quite ready to transition to electric from hydrogen.
Yep.
But
Exactly. Oh, go ahead.
Japan's commitment by 2030 not to sell any all fossil fuel cars, it has to be hybrid, it has to be an electric or hydrogen non-emission by 2030. They're not going to allow sales of any standard car. So that's about 8 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pushing the market in
Well,
the EV direction, right?
yeah, it is slowly. I mean, not by any speed because Toyota loves their Prius. They've gotten a bunch of mileage out of the Prius, and they are all in on hybrids, which is better than ICE, straight ICE, but it's not as good. They're more complicated than electric cars. So I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
What does ICE stand for?
internal combustion engine.
Okay, got you.
Yep.
And if you're looking at price tags,
Yep.
the Model 3 sale price and the new
Yeah.
Prius sale price, pretty similar.
Yep. Very close. And so, then I mean, for as far as repairs go, the only thing that I've paid for in the last 2 years has been washer fluid, literally washer fluid. There's been no repairs and no issues with the car. And not having to keep up with the oil changes is great.
Yeah. Thank you for
It's
bringing that up
fantastic.
because I did have a repair. My
Mm,
car was very squeaky. Do you remember
mm.
this?
Yes, yes,
About
yes.
6 months ago, and every
Yep.
time I turned the handle, what we say handle in Japan, the steering wheel, it made this weird squeaking noise, and I was like, "Is there something stuck under there?" And so, searching on YouTube, there's a common problem. So I called the dealership. They were great.
Mm,
Unfortunately, I don't have a dealership near me, so I had to drive to Osaka anyway. So I timed it when we had to be there doing passport stuff at Kansai.
mm-hmm.
They fixed it within a few hours, no charge whatsoever. Now
That's
works
great.
perfectly fine. So I had a great experience getting that repaired.
Excellent. That's
Yeah,
great. That's really good to know because I know it was bothering you for a long time.
yeah. Um, Now we have a comment on Twitter from
Hmm.
EV Master Kevin Meyerson, who's been on the show
Hmm.
talking about he's got an EV Jaguar, which he charges at home with
Hmm.
his solar panels. And he's saying, I'd love to see more discussion about non Tesla EVs.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
the Cha demo world is not as expensive or complex as you have said. All right, note taken.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Neither of us have really dived into that world because we are using Tesla superchargers. We are charging at home, so we're not as dependent on that system. But I
Well.
have tried the Eon Mall one. It is
Yeah.
complicated,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the easiest version. So I
Well,
do say I have tried.
the one thing that I do want to point out with Kevin is that when you buy uh, an EV from one of the other companies, so Jaguar, VW, Nissan, whatever, they have a program already put in place to get the card, and the company pays for your membership fee and your entrance fee for like the first year or something along those lines. So it's super easy to get the card. Once you get the card, those the elephant system is great because it's everywhere, and basically you're just paying for the charging. So I get it, and it's a great point that he brings up. um it's not hard. If you have, like when you said, like with the Honda thing, you can go to any Honda dealer and use their charger, and they give you the card and help you set up the card as you're paying for the car. So absolutely, and it's something that Tesla should do in Japan. And at one point they did have the system, but by the time you and I bought cars, they weren't doing it anymore. And so, but if Tesla were to send me an email and say, hey, we're going to set you up with one of those elephant cards, and we're going to pay for your entrance fee, and we're going to pay for 2 months, then I'd be like, well, sign me up and send me the card. And now I have the card. Now it's hard to get rid of. No problem.
Yeah.
But Tesla's not doing that. But Nissan and Honda and um, all of the other VW and Jaguar do have a system to set that up. Now, maybe it's just my Japanese isn't good enough. That could be. That's a very distinct possibility.
Yeah. And hey, we welcome it. I don't
Absolutely.
feel a rivalry to people driving EV BMW,
Absolutely.
Jaguar EVs. I'm really happy to see you guys on the road, just as I hope you're happy to see us, because the more the merrier for this EV market is what I say.
Yeah, the more chargers that are available. My problem with the elephant system is primarily because it's the only wide availability system, and it's so difficult to get into. Well, in my opinion, from my point of view,
They could
it's
make
not
it
easy.
easier, let's say.
Yeah,
They could
yeah, yeah.
definitely make it easier.
I mean, I can go into any department store; they will issue me a card on the spot. And with the elephant thing, it's not that simple. It needs to be that simple.
Yeah.
Um,
I like
and
the idea of getting a card from a rest stop or wherever you are,
mm,
or paying them, and like the gas station system, pay
absolutely,
at the cashier and they give you a certain amount of charge you can use.
that
Why
would be
not make
great.
it that easy? That's
Yep.
something people already understand, right?
Yep, yep, that's exactly it. Now, as far as like other manufacturers go, I'm curious to see what VW is going to do in Japan. And whoa, hi, there's a new VW dealer down the street, and I haven't gone down to talk to him. I want to find out what's coming into Japan. Is it going to be ID3? Is it going to be ID4? Because those cars have had great reviews and are doing super well in Europe. And I think they would do really well here because one of the problems with the Model 3 is it's too wide.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine driving an S because it's even wider. But
Yeah.
get, getting that Model 3 in places is difficult.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
I had one car parking area. Uh, I was entering the parking area, and I had a shout over the megaphone saying, "Tesla driver, stop! You are not going to fit in here." And I was glad I understood Japanese, because if you
Oh,
didn't understand that, you might have gotten stuck or gotten in trouble.
yeah,
But most parking structures, most places have been fine. But yeah, I wouldn't want a wider car. I
yeah, no.
have a few too many scratches on my car, and that's because trying to get in my own personal parking spot, which I had a very small car beforehand, and down my narrow street, has been a learning curve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can't just whip into a parking space. You got to be careful, and you
You
got
have
to, it's like, okay, well, there's a K car there and there's a van there. I'm gonna park next to the K car because it's probably going to be a little bit of extra space, and they fit into parking. So the Model 3 fits into spaces
Yeah.
barely.
And
but it's
thankfully
tight.
to all the cameras that you do get a lot of guidance along the way.
Yep.
Are you getting too close? It tells you exactly how many centimeters you're away, which is really scary sometimes, but
Yes.
it is very useful. And
Yep.
it is, if you go slow, you can do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go for a bigger car. No way.
Yep. Yeah, if I'm gonna go for a bigger car, I'm gonna go for a bigger car. Um, like I said, the area, the Aria that's coming out by Nissan, I think that's going to be an amazing vehicle, and I think it's going to do really well, and I think it's going to help push that infrastructure issue that we were talking about before, as far as charging goes. And bring it's going to be an eye-catching car. They had what's his name, Kimitaka was doing the commercials for it, and they're aiming it at a high end market, but I think it's going to do really well when it comes out. I just hope it comes out soon.
That's great. We
Yeah.
had another comment from another EV driver in Japan, Josh. He
Hmm.
says, I fully second Kevin's comment. 3 months in, and we are loving the non Tesla EV life. And I
Oh,
know it's nowhere near as complex, or I was worried. The charges are one-fourth what I was spending on petrol. So
absolutely.
that's awesome, and to hear of any success with any EV model, I'm really happy for it. So thanks so much for commenting, you guys. If you have
Hmm.
any further questions about the Model 3 or Teslas, Scott or I would be happy to answer. So please write them below.
Yeah, I'm
Scott, thank
curious.
you
Do you
so
know?
much. Any
Yeah, no
final
problem.
comments?
No. I the Tesla has been a great car for me, and do encourage, if you don't want a Tesla or don't, aren't interested in it, then absolutely go check out what Honda has with the Honda E, or with VW and their stuff. It's moving to electric will save you money, even if the initial purchase is going to cost you a little bit more. In the long run, it's absolutely worth it. You should totally do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would recommend it. I feel good driving the car. When you drive up hills past people and they're walking, you don't have to feel bad because you're not spewing anything bad into the air around them.
Hmm.
It's nice and quiet. It's powerful. It's fun to drive. And it's been very good value for money. I would recommend it. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Scott. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Have a great day. And tomorrow morning, I'm talking about TNR and rescuing and doing, what is it? Spade and neuter for stray cats
Uh,
with some
awesome.
activists around the Tokyo area. So that'll be an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
Join
very
us
cool.
again tomorrow. Yeah. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Take care. Bye. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.